Hi, I'm Tim Bradner with Alaska Legislative Digest, and welcome to Capitol Views. And welcome today to Tom Klaameyer, the President, CEO of the National Education Association of Alaska. Thanks for joining us, Tom.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Tom, maybe just in a quick nutshell, what exactly is NEA? It's the Teachers Association?
Yeah, the National Education Association. Yeah, I'm the president of the state affiliate, and then of course we represent members throughout the state in their local organizations, from classroom teachers, school psychologists, nurses, bus drivers, admin assistants, tutors, all of those things. We've got about 12,000 members across the state.
Really, that's quite a lot. Tom, what's your own background? Are you a former teacher yourself? Are you a teacher yourself?
I am. I'm a high school social studies teacher. Of course, I'm in this position right now full time, but I started teaching in 1996 in the Anchorage School District. I taught at Bartlett High School and then Eagle River High School before doing this. I actually came to Alaska in 1989 in the United States Air Force, and short answer, got out early in order to stay in Alaska because I loved it so much, and used my GI Bill to go to school and graduated UAA. And 25 years later, here I am.
Oh, good for you, Tom. Tom, a lot of interest in difficulties in children learning to read. We hear that the reading scores for Alaska children are very low compared to other states. Maybe you could just hazard a guess as to why that is, and what can we do to solve that problem? I know there's a lot of interest in getting more active and new initiatives on early learning this year in the legislature. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, certainly a tough nut to crack. I would say most of the difficulties that we experience are probably socioeconomic in nature for our students. There was a recent study by the Pediatric Institute in Alaska here that said 36% of our young people ages 0 to 8 live below the poverty threshold. That's more than a third of our students, and typically that's where we see most of the delays in reading acquisition skills.
So is the opposite correlation? Students that are more advanced and pick up learning skills, reading skills quickly by fourth grade, they come from higher socioeconomic groups?
Yeah, and of course, it has nothing to do with ability. It's the learning opportunities that they have, the support that they have at home, their network of learning, the people around them, the culture in their own home, whether they emphasize learning, whether they have a place to sit down and learn, whether they're read to on a daily basis. Those kinds of factors that really make a difference in homes that can afford to have a stay-at-home parent, or at least that don't have to work 3 jobs and are present in the evening and able to do those kinds of things, as opposed to those that are working really hard to make ends meet, or maybe only a single parent and they're working a lot. It's that network of that we surround our kids in, and what kind of access they have to that, to those, the exposure to those opportunities to learn, I guess.
And Tom, I know that we've had things like Head Start, and some schools operate PreK. Maybe you could just explain what's the status with PreK and Head Start now. Head Start is only for certain kinds of children, I gather, or?
Yeah, I think there's an economic base to which students are allowed to participate in the Head Start. It's one example of a government-funded early education opportunity, but it's not throughout the entire state, and it's not enough. There's the state also does grants for school districts to offer some pre-K opportunities, but without having funding for a high quality voluntary program for all districts to participate in, so that all students have access. I think some of the things that we're doing are not sufficient.
So in the case of grants, also the problem is it may be there this year, it may not be there next year. So it's not something that can really be counted on.
Right. That doesn't provide for stability of a program that families can count on it. In terms of advertising and getting the word out. Once people find out about the opportunity, then it goes away. And it might be in one community one year, and another community another year. We really need that stability, so that again, it's about changing the overall view about education and access to education, and getting kids exposed early so that when they do get to begin their K-12 education, they have those school readiness skills, either academic skills, but also the social and emotional learning skills, to be able to sit still, to be able to follow instructions, to all of those things that help us be better students.
And Tom, I gather if students did have these resources, can we be certain that by grade 3, there's a certain percentage of them would be able to master the skills necessary versus children who don't have the skills?
Yeah, they have shown correlations between quality pre-K programs and attainment of, as I said, school skills, but then also those gains do persist and have been demonstrated to persist through third grade, which we know is one of those key markers in their lives that we need to make sure that we have kids able to read by third grade. And then assuming that there's a strong reading program and strong intervention for students that aren't learning as quickly as their peers, to be able to catch them up as well. And then those gains persist throughout their education, at least till middle school. In many studies, in others, they've demonstrated that it goes longer and really into adulthood, in terms of if we're talking about a public school system's primary mission to make healthy, productive, participating citizens. We Early childhood education programs have demonstrated, in terms of investment, right? Because that's another big discussion item. How much does it cost? Certainly it costs dollars now, but it leads to less intervention later. It leads to earlier intervention for those that need it. Fewer kids end up going into special education as a result of it. Kids catch up faster and so need less remediation later. And then later are less likely to be a burden in terms of social services that they receive, because they are more likely to be independent and productive adults.
And have jobs.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
Tom, thank you. We're out of time, Tom. So thank you very much for joining us. And we look forward to having more conversations on the subjects.
That's my pleasure, and I'm happy to come back anytime. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you, Tom.